Amigos, welcome back to lesson number 10. Now we're going to look at one of the most important tools in our life, which is our communication skills. How well do you communicate? And what do we mean when we say communication? How communication is connected to our mindset, to our skills, etc. So let's look at that. And this is, of course, both at our work activities and our personal activities. Now, so if we look at it here, so first of all, success, like we said several times, is a combination of these two key factors. We need to have the right mindset and we need to have the right skills. Like we spoke before in the matrix, so motivation is one part of our mindset, one aspect of it. What do we want? How passionate are we? Which is inside our mindset. Skills, this is our competence. Are we skilled in doing what we need to do, etc.? So let's look at that. What do we mean? How do we improve our communication skills? First of all, we have what is called monologue. So monologue, this is when one person is doing all the talking. And very often, the other person is not really listening. Not because she's only shouting, because the communication is just going in one direction. And often, there's no real understanding, because the other person is not really interested. So communication, it's a two-way street. Now, have you ever experienced somebody who is talking all the time, but they're not listening? They're not interested in listening. They don't want to know what you think, etc. And often when you have conflict situations, how do they come about? Because there's this monologue from both sides. You can see it if two people who have the opposing views in politics, for example. So one is focused on his ideas and the other one on his, but they don't listen to each other. They have monologue. They're kind of pressuring the other person to see their point of view or even agree to their point of view, but it doesn't work very well unless we learn how to create dialogue. Now, dialogue, it is so different. This is when we are really exchanging our ideas and opinions. We really listen to each other and we really try to understand each other. Now, if you think about this, first of all, if we take clients, so how do we interact with our clients? Have you ever met a salesperson? When he comes in front of a client, he starts his monologue sales presentation. Blah, blah, we are very important. We have this, that, and you should buy from us, and so on. Now, how does the client feel? He feels, you don't really care about me. You only care about yourself. You care about your money. How much are you going to earn on this? Your commission, etc. Now, that doesn't inspire a client then to buy from us if he has other options. Sometimes he has no options. You're the only place he can buy. But what if you have competition and the client can choose to buy from you or from somewhere else? And that's when dialogue is so important. And even in the family. So if a husband and wife, if they're monologuing all the time to each other, but they don't have a good dialogue with each other, how is the quality of their marriage? Now, I don't know your specific situation. I don't know how it's in your region, etc. But I have seen in many countries, divorce rates in some places is even up to 50%. Can you imagine 50% of people who fall in love with each other, sometimes they even make children, etc. And some years later, they hate each other. They can't stand each other. They don't want to be together anymore. Because one of the key factors, they don't understand each other. And why do they not understand each other? Because they don't have a dialogue with each other. The same in business. Personnel retention. How do you keep people in your team? How do you keep the best people in your team? they are not slaves anymore. They're not just your soldiers anymore. It's not like it was 100 years ago when, there was this hierarchy, command like a military structure in many businesses. Do what you're told. If not, bang, you're fired or get out of here. So, but today we need to treat each other with much more respect, with much more understanding. We have to be tolerant of each other, but we also need to have result. That's why we talked about a true professional. It's a person who's very friendly, he's getting along with others, he's in good communication with others, but he's also very competent. He knows what to do, he's trained, and he has high level of result. So it's not just about we tolerate everybody, but we don't have any result. We need to have result. And I'm really talking from personal experience. I have worked in sales so many times in my life. Even today, now I have my own training company. So my income is depending fully on my result. When I was in sales, I was very often strictly on commission. If I didn't sell anything, I got nothing. So I'm only paid for the actual result. And that's the same for all business owners. You're only paid for the result or the profit of the company. So we need then to really understand how do we get along with clients, how we get along with our colleagues, etc. And to create a team. What bond us, what unite us together in the team? It's our level of communication. How do we communicate or talk with each other? How do we listen to each other? Do we care for each other, etc.? So if you have a team with different departments, if they don't communicate very well with each other, how are you going to coordinate with each other? It's like the football team, where everybody have their places, their functions, etc. But what if they're not coordinated with each other? They're not having a system of good communication with each other. Of course, we will not win the games, unless the opponent is the same lousy like we are, etc. So how do we create a dialogue? So I put together a system. I call it the Q technique. So the word Q, or the letter Q, comes from the word question. So we could also call it the questioning technique. Now, what is the purpose of asking questions? So we could say, well, the purpose of asking a question is to get some kind of information, which is correct, but that's only the first step. The second purpose of a good Q technique of asking questions is so we can establish a dialogue. So we exchanging our ideas and opinions. Now, why do we need dialogue? So that we can understand each other. Because if we don't understand each other, we don't bond with each other, we don't build rapport with each other. We have to have this unity connection. And this is created by very good communication. So we need to learn how to ask very good questions. And this is, like I said, both at work and in our personal life. Between the spouses, parents to their children, or parents to their parents, or your communication with friends, etc., etc. So communication is all areas of life. And of course, we need to speak the same language. So as I'm born in Denmark, so my mother language is Danish, which is very different from the English language. But I knew I would be traveling a lot, so I have started learning English from school, etc. Now, but you can hear I still have the accent, a bit of the Danish accent. But I understand enough English so that I can have dialogue, ask questions, understand each other, etc. Now, the next point is, how do we do this Q technique? So I put together here what I call the curiosity scale. Now, this is a very interesting scale. So we have the negative band and the positive band. So when somebody is down in the negative area, it's a -1, -2, -3. So at -1, he's not really interested in what you are saying. If he's a -2, he might even fully resist what you're saying. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. Or if it's a -3, now he might even be criticizing, attacking you for whatever you're talking about. Now, have you ever experienced when you have some ideas or some point of view or something you like to talk about, that the other person is either not interested or resisting or criticizing? He's in this negative band here. Now, in the positive band, so +1, here's the person is curious. He would like to hear about it. Maybe he even have a stronger interest. I really want to learn about, I want to hear about it. And in +3, it's a person who's really passionate. Wow, I want to hear more about it. Tell me more about it, etc. So have you ever experienced when you sit with some good friends and you have something you would like to tell, and the other people, can be one person or more people, they're very curious, they're more interested, maybe even passionate to hear what you're saying, etc. So the same if you're watching a movie. Where are you? So those who make the movie, they make music sound a little bit mysterious and to involve you, to keep your attention involved in the movie. Because today, many people have a very short attention span. They cannot keep focused on something for a very long time. Like in the older days, at least I was told, in the older days, people could stay more focused, they could sit for longer time. But today, because of television, computers, smartphone, social media, TikTok, etc., people want things faster, 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 faster. So they want these spectacular things very, very fast. So we need, even in our human communication, we need then to be very positive. And here the point is the following. Now, when you are communicating with somebody, where are you? Let's say you meet somebody who likes something that you don't particularly like. How do you react to it? So if you are in the negative band, you maybe are not interested or resisting, etc. Or you might even criticize the person for liking that. So, but if you are at the positive side, if you're a little bit curious, if somebody comes to you and says, for example, I love fishing. Let's say this is a nice woman and you kind of go, why does she love fishing? What's wrong with her? Maybe you don't like fishing. But this is not your choice. It's her hobby. Does she like fishing? But if you're curious, instead of criticizing her for liking fishing, you could say to her, oh, that's quite interesting. I'm curious. Why do you like fishing? Tell me about it. And then to get the person to open up, and maybe they have some good stories, and maybe it opens a whole new world for you, things you were never thinking about because you were curious. Now, it doesn't mean you have to fall in love with fishing or you have to go fishing, but all you want to do, you want to understand what the other person like and why do they like it. And in sales, in business, working with your personnel, working with your clients or suppliers, you need to become a real master communicator. So we need then to find out what people think. What do they believe in? And why did they form these opinions? How did they do that? So we put together here a very simple exercise or practice. So for you to daily practice to build habits. Now, this is vital because how do we build a habit about anything? Repetition is the mother of all learning. That means when we repeat something over and over again, at some point our comfort zone has expanded, it becomes normal for us, etc. So it's a habit. But we want to build the right habit, particularly about communication. Because have you ever met somebody who have very bad communication habits? For example, it could be in the family. Let's say you have children. You want to tell them something or want to talk to them, but they're sitting on their smartphone or social media or whatever, or playing computer games, etc. They don't listen to you. That's a very, very bad habit. But how did that habit form? So it was formed over many years. When you, from them growing up, you allowed them to sit on these computers or smartphones, etc., etc. Now it has become a bad habit, so they're not listening. Now, if you don't handle this at home, they're going to get a problem when they come out into the work life later on, after their education, etc. Maybe they can't interact properly with others. So if you want your children to become very, very successful in their life, you don't want to protect them. You don't want to solve their problems. You don't want to make them into weak people. You want to do everything possible for them to open the door of their potential so they can be proud of what they are doing in their life, so they can achieve their own successes, etc. And one of their key tools is their ability to communicate. So really sit down with your children and train them, educate them about communication. But you, as a parent, of course, have to set a good example with it. And the same at work. Your personnel, if you are the director, they're almost like your children. And I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but you work together. You care for them. This is your team. You want them to be successful. So they love to work here. You want to get along with them. But of course, you need result. I'm not talking about just be nice without result. So how do we do this? So daily practice here, ask people as much as you can, what are their opinions about different things? What do they believe in? What do they like? What is their ideas? We call it the what question. And then after they have explained you what they like or what they don't like or what is their opinions, etc., then go to the second, the why question. Why do they think like this? Why did they form this opinion? Because as you probably know, how do we form any opinions in life? It's based on the information coming in. So where did we get these ideas from? And then in part 3 or step 3, really listen to them. Because you wouldn't try to understand them. Because if you don't understand them, they feel you don't get it. And now you have a little bit of a conflict situation. So this is for daily practice. Start at home, with your friends, with your relatives, at work, with your colleagues, and then with clients, suppliers, etc. Practice constantly by being curious to others. And we have seen people, when they start doing this, suddenly their minds start to open up. They go, wow, I kind of didn't think about this. That, of course, I'm a human being, but I somehow just go through life. I'm not fully here. I'm not fully alive. It's almost like we're a little bit half dead going through life. We don't see everything which is there. And we don't interact very much with others. I'm sure you have seen so many examples of it. You can go to a restaurant, and there's this married couple or two friends sitting together, both on their mobile phones. And they're just sitting there and they talk a little bit with each other back to the phone. That's not human connection anymore, etc., etc. So practice as much as you can to create this dialogue. Now, sometimes we have a situation which is a conflict. Now, how do conflicts arise? We could say, if we keep it very simple, I know there can be many factors, but it's because we don't have good understanding. There's no dialogue and so on. And when I saw this picture of these two penguins here, I go, wow, this is really like two people having a conflict. They're both whacking up their opinions, but they're not listening to each other's. They don't even have ears. They can't even hear anything. They just, my opinion is, I believe, blah, blah. If it is about politics or religion or business or whatever things in life. All right, so we put together here some very simple steps how to deal with it. First of all, if there is a conflict, stay calm. Try not to react emotionally. Try really to listen to the other person before you start to give your opinions, how you see it. Ask good questions, clarify what they think, why do they think like this, and really, in step 4, try to understand them. Now, after you understand them, of course, now you can give your opinions, how you see it, etc., because you're looking for point 5, which is to find some common ground. What can we agree on? Where can we find something which will be fitting? So here, when you ask for the common ground, let's say you have a problem with somebody at work from another department, or you're a salesperson fighting with the finance people, etc. Ask questions such as, all right, how do we solve this? What can we do about this? What should we do about it? What do you suggest about it? What ideas for solution do you have? So in step 6, we do this brainstorm for solutions. And in step 7, agree on the solution. And point 8, follow up on it. Now, the key point here is when you have a conflict, and I think it's impossible to go through life and never have conflicts with anybody, never to have problems. In a future lesson, we will talk more about specifically how we solve problems, but it's gonna happen. But how we deal with it, that is the key. So here it's a very simple, listen to the other person, ask him good questions, what he's thinking, why he's thinking, understand them, how do they see it, and then it's your turn to explain how you see it, find some common ground, brainstorm the solutions, etc. All right, so this is handling conflicts between people because we solve it through communication. And now for the assignments. In assignment number 1, go minimally to 3 people and ask them what is their hobby or passion. Well, do they have a hobby or are there something they're passionate about? But why 3 people? Because we want you to start practicing, to start to get this idea. And then ask him the why question. Really ask it with curiosity. Why is this your hobby or passion? Why do you like this? And then really learn something. And you will see, if you do it very well, you can actually open your mind. Oh, I didn't think about this. I can learn something new. Now, it doesn't mean we need to have the same opinions as others. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. We don't need to agree on everything. Like I have my taste of music or art, etc. You probably have a different taste, what you like about music, art, etc., etc. So, which is fine. At least we can have agreement that we have different opinions, different taste, etc. So this is our human right to our own thinking, to our opinions, to our beliefs, etc. Everybody has this right as a human being. All right, and then the second assignment, use the conflict handling process to solve a conflict you have with someone. Now, I know this can be a little bit tough for you, but really find somebody you have a problem with and go to them and say, listen, I have to do this home assignment. I have to solve a conflict with somebody as part of the training. And then use the process. It's a very simple process and really try to solve the conflict. All right, amigos. So these are the 2 assignments so that your communication skills go into another level. And to create teamwork, we gotta have good communication. Without good dialogue between each other, you can't create a team. It's just impossible because we don't understand each other. We have conflicts of interest or desires, etc. But this is for all areas, even the family, etc. All right, so amigos, do these 2 assignments, get good result from it, open your mind that you have more potential, you can do it, you can get better result, etc. And see you at the next lesson.